thought we could be saved. We sought to face the sun's wrath and contain it. 4 towers would be built to pull her fury into this place and dispel it. But even with all we knew, with all we had, it would take too long. 1,000 years we could labor and still the work would not be done. The first tower was never completed. The project abandoned. We moved on. But while we labored on other endeavors, a few returned. They thought to automate the process. Metal might finish what flesh could not. If we could not meet the sun's cruel embrace, perhaps we might rebuke it. Already we could generate fields to protect us in times of strife. But these were small and simple things. To replicate them on a scale the size of a world, we lack the energy to make it so. Half the world, they said then. It is better than none at all. We tried. Again, we failed. A quarter, they asked. Even this we could not do. A 6th, an 8th, a 10th, they cried. The answer was still the same. Perhaps in time a city might be spared. It was time we did not have. So we moved on.
Wonder what's inside.
One way to find out.
What is a fact? Is it fixed? Immutable? Certain in its existence and only awaiting discovery? Or might it be changed? Here we learned the answer, and thought that it might save us. They were used to command, to control, to own. But we soon discovered another use. When enough sat enthralled and were told to believe, their thoughts took on form. What was imagined became real. If 100 minds could wish away a wall or create a tree, what might 1,000 do? 10,000 more? Might we change the consensus and will the thread away? We resolved to send one into the sky where it might illuminate us all. Once placed, a sentence would be uttered. Make us safe. In this way, we would change the consensus. We would save the world. But it never came to be. We sent a dozen of them skyward, but there was no way to maintain control, to direct the beam, to enthrall the world, to speak the words. Though this was strange and dangerous, what we tried next was worse. Our first instinct was to travel back, to change the past, but we could not find a way. But forward, we could look forward, and so here we sought to see beyond ourselves and know what was to come. First we watched to learn if our work would succeed, but the answer was always the same. So we moved on to other things, but she remained. The one you call Minerva. In time, she too stopped looking, and instead began to speak. She called out across time, in the hopes that you might be saved. She hid messages where none might find them, save for you and those within this place.
Tired of it. The cryptic warnings, the threats. Just tell us what you want!
But they are. We saw the jet. We seemed like grasshoppers in our eyes. Imagine trying to explain this to a 2-year-old to a grasshopper. And they said the will of the gods was unknowable. They meant it. Literally.
I killed her. I killed Lucy.
It was the apple, son. It was Juno.
I saw what she was. What would happen if I let her live? I could have stopped myself. I mean, there was a force there. But I didn't have to. I chose to.
Desmond.
Lucy was going to betray us and take the apple back to Abstergo. I saw the satellite launch. I saw them turn it on, and then it failed. Whatever's on the other side of that door, it benefits Juno. We need to be careful. Temple will tell me today.
I'm telling you, there's something down here.
Don't be daft.
I don't know, maybe they were sleeping or something and we woke them. Some kind of cryogenics? Or hibernation? I mean, how do we know what the hell they were doing down here?
They were working on a bunch of different solutions, but nothing worked. Just went from one to the next, and then... I don't know. They must have left at some point. After the end.
I wonder what the world would be like if they'd succeeded.
I'm more concerned about what it'll be like if we don't.
Salvation. They found a way. Too late for them. Not for you.
I can choose the right replacement. So I know there's always a backup plan.
Now it
And I'm
bars your
sure
way.
that really matters.
Find the key. The past will tell.
The Assassin's Creed franchise has been quietly rewriting human history for almost 2 decades, spanning from ancient Greece to feudal Japan, and somehow it all connects. Today, I'm breaking down the complete timeline of every major Assassin's Creed game and why it all matters, starting with the one that changed everything, Assassin's Creed. In 2007, Ubisoft did something genuinely insane. They released a game set during the Third Crusade in 1191, let you parkour across Jerusalem, Acre, and Damascus, and then told you that none of it was real. See, you're not actually playing as Altair ibn Lahad. You're playing as Desmond Miles, a bartender in 2012 who's been kidnapped by Abstergo Industries and strapped into a machine called the Animus that lets him relive his ancestors' memories through DNA. For 2007, that's a wild premise, and it completely worked.
I regret not
Inside
asking you
the
to hack
Animus,
into the Abstergo
Altair
servers
starts
while you were
as an
there.
arrogant assassin
Couple of well-placed
who
relays
botches a
and you'll be
critical
swimming in
mission and
information.
gets stripped of his
We have
rank.
everything
To
we need.
earn his honor
Yeah,
back,
except the
he's
key.
given 9
We're
targets
close.
across
How
the
do you
Holy
know?
Land. But
I
as he works
just
through the list, something doesn't add up. His targets keep contradicting what his mentor, Al-Mualim, has told him. And here's where it gets dark. Al-Mualim has been using an Apple of Eden, an ancient artifact built by a precursor civilization called the Isu, to control people's minds. He wanted it for himself the whole time. Altair's entire journey was a manipulation. The game introduced the Hidden Blade, crowd blending, and the parkour system that would define the franchise. But that dual narrative, Desmond in the lab and Altair in the past, became the series' entire identity. History as you know it is wrong, and the truth is buried in your DNA. But Altair's story was just the beginning, because the next ancestor Desmond visits doesn't just continue the fight. He turns it into an art form, Assassin's Creed 2. This is the game that changed everything. Assassin's Creed 2 didn't just improve on the original, it buried it. Released in 2009 and set across Renaissance Italy from 1476 to 1499, this is where the franchise found its identity. And it all starts with one of gaming's greatest character introductions. Ezio Auditore da Firenze begins the game as a privileged, carefree nobleman in Florence. He's charming, reckless, getting into fistfights, and chasing women across rooftops. Then, in one of the most gut-wrenching sequences in the series, his father and brothers are publicly hanged by Templar conspirators. Just like that, the carefree kid is gone. What replaces him is a broken young man driven by revenge. And over the course of the game, that revenge slowly transforms into genuine purpose. The villain behind it all is Rodrigo Borgia, the man who would eventually become Pope Alexander VI. He orchestrated the Auditor family's execution to consolidate Templar control over the pieces of Eden hidden beneath the Vatican. And yes, the final confrontation literally involves fist-fighting the Pope. That's not a joke. But here's what gave this game its warmth. Leonardo da Vinci is literally Ezio's gadget guy. He upgrades the hidden blade, invents a wrist-mounted gun modification, decodes ancient codex pages, and does it all with this infectious enthusiasm that makes every visit to his workshop genuinely fun. The original game had zero relationships like this. Ezio's bond with Leonardo gave the franchise a heart it desperately needed. Gameplay-wise, the upgrades were massive. Poison darts, smoke bombs, a notoriety system that actually rewarded stealth by making guards hunt you harder if you killed too publicly, and vastly improved counterattack combat.
And
It felt like a
world
completely
approach.
different series. The
One that
numbers
was
speak
dark
for
and
themselves.
cold.
Around 9 million
It
copies
would
sold,
consume us.
making it one of the best-selling
For we
games of
were
its
flesh,
generation.
and
This
flesh
game
is
didn't just
frail.
save the franchise. It turned Assassin's Creed into
Those
a
suits and
cultural
shields
institution.
might offer comfort.
Meanwhile, Desmond's modern-day
Such
story
adornments would
deepens
not
considerably.
suffice.
We learn that
Not to
Abstergo
save
is
us all.
harvesting genetic memories across multiple bloodlines
So we
to
sought to
locate
change
pieces of
what we
Eden
were.
and prevent a catastrophic solar
In this
event
manner, we
that
might
nearly
thrive
wiped out
in a world
civilization
with
thousands
poisons.
of years ago. The stakes just got a lot bigger
It was
than
Aita
families
who
could
volunteered
but
to see if it
Ezio's
might be
story
done.
is far from over. Because your
Aita,
story wasn't about to let
my
your
husband,
older boy retire after
my
just
love.
one game. Assassin's Creed Brotherhood.
In the end, it
before
changed
Brotherhood.
him.
The Assassin Order was just a
Ruined
label.
him.
You heard characters
He
talk
was
about
made a
it.
prisoner
You saw
of
the
the
robes.
machines.
You got the hidden blade. But it
The
never
body
actually
might
felt
survive.
like you were running anything.
His
Brotherhood
mind
changed that
became
completely.
brittle to the touch.
Released in 2010, the game picks
He
up
begged
right
me
where
for
Assassin's
release.
Creed 2 left
For
off,
days,
dropping Ezio
for
into
weeks,
Rome
for
between
months.
1499 and 1507.
I pleaded with him
And
to
this
give us
isn't just
time to
any
find
version
another way.
of Rome. You can climb the Colosseum,
But there
walk
wasn't
through
one.
the Pantheon, and
Not for
infiltrate
him.
the Vatican, all fully explorable.
Not
but
for us.
Ezio isn't sightseeing. The Brotherhood has been decimated, and he has to rebuild it from nothing. This is where the apprentice system comes in. And honestly, it's one of the most satisfying mechanics the series ever introduced. You recruit young assassins off the streets of Rome, send them on missions across Europe, watch them level up, and eventually witness them earn their own hidden blades. It sounds simple, but there's something genuinely rewarding about building an organization from scratch and seeing your recruits grow into killers. You could even call them in mid-combat to save your neck. Nothing felt more powerful than whistling for backup and watching two assassins drop from a rooftop to handle your problem. Then there's the economic side. Players can literally buy the Colosseum, the Pantheon, every shop in Rome. You collect rental income from all of it. Historically absurd? Absolutely. Addictive? Completely. The main villain is Cesare Borgia, and the political drama within
What
the
is
Borgia
consciousness
family
but a
gives the whole
series of
narrative this
electrical
operatic
impulses?
intensity, betrayal,
And
ambition,
the body, a
murder.
vessel
It's
to hold these sparks. But it is weak. In time, it decays and crumbles into dust. We asked ourselves then, what if it might be replaced with something stronger?
For all we know, that
Something
creative
better.
and targeting is the focus marketing. Eventually,
So we forged a new
where
vessel.
you, as the founder of
One that
Radar,
could
no
endure.
longer person reviews every
It
ad.
proved easy enough to enter.
Before it launches fast, everybody when the thing starts to click. The messaging drifts a bit, the visuals become inconsistent, the plan
It
starts
would move.
the precursors, the
The
first
we
civilization.
required
Those who
something
came before,
more,
and now these.
something wrong.
This is the race that started the entire
And so this too they abandoned. I wondered,
Who are these people and what are their
were they
true
right to turn away?
This answer has been revealed across all of the games and is actually included in one of the external releases, a comic book. Today, I want to focus on 3 core members to this story. This means that while we will be mentioning how they are involved in the core storyline, we will not be deep diving into the Valhalla Isu storyline, the box, the staff, or the shroud, or other pieces of Isu, beyond how they contribute to the overarching storyline. Each of those are long enough that I will make a video about each of them. Now, before we can get into what the story of the Isu or the precursors is, we have to go over how important they are. Depending on what your entry point into the Assassin's Creed franchise was, their overall importance can be varied. In the earliest titles, they were a constant linking thread that ran through all of the games. And as the titles changed and progressed, the Isu were kind of generally pulled out, but still into the more modern day Assassin's Creed titles, in which they take a more Isu supernatural approach towards the game. Generally, everything that happens in the universe of Assassin's Creed, that one would link to a supernatural natural origin is generally linked to the Isu. The pieces of Eden are all the pieces left over from the Isu civilization. Mythologies throughout the eras are all based on the history of the Isu. Mythological creatures are experiments from the Isu. Everything in the world of Assassin's Creed is somehow
this is it.
linked to the Isu. The conflict of
We're
Assassins
right
and
behind you.
Templars is based on gaining the pieces of Eden from this ancient civilization. The Templars want to use these pieces for power, while the Assassins just don't want the Templars to have them. It comes down to the argument of, should we have freedom or should we have overlords controlling us? Because you see, the pieces of Eden, while they have a number of functions, mostly are used to force the humans to be submissive to the
Moment of
ruler
truth.
the device. We'll explain why the Isu even made these devices in a second. The Templars want them to control people, while the Assassins believe in free will and want to prevent that. Now, the history of the Isu is kind of starting to go all over the place at the time of making this video. I'm writing this at the time of January 2023, so we've concluded Valhalla, but we haven't started a Mirage yet, so we don't know when that's going to continue. At this moment, the Isu are the oldest race that we know within Assassin's Creed lore. They are the first civilization that we assume are native to Earth, before Adam and Eve and before history as we know it. They don't have a clear origin at this time for their race or culture. A lot of our information is from a couple of key Isu individuals. We'll dive deeper into them going through this. What we do know is that the Isu seemingly made human beings. It was stated by Minerva in Assassin's Creed 2 Brotherhood that she is Isu and a member of the Capitoline Triad. She stated her kind came before humans and were responsible for the creation of Homo.
Yes.
They were created to be a docile and obedient workforce. They also created the Neanderthals to be a military force and be used as expeditionary units.
Here,
Now, Minerva believed that
at
the
last.
humans were created to
You know
withstand
our story
the
now.
life of living on
Of how we
Earth.
tried.
Juno, another member of the
Of how we
Capitoline
failed.
Triad, made it
All
clear
our hopes
that the human
extinguished.
beings weren't supposed to be intelligent.
Save
This
one.
way, they would never deal with a human
Your
other.
touch.
In the same trilogy
spark.
of games, we were also
A
introduced
spark
to
to
Clay,
save the
a
world.
modern-day protagonist that was lost within
Do
the
not
Endless.
touch the
Even
pedestal.
follow-up research
Minerva?
on these statements, which
You.
led to the discovery that it was the Isu that
But
led
how?
humankind,
You
not
left.
evolution. This
You
led to
destroyed the device.
evolutionary
Did you
tree
think
from
there was
primates to
only
humans.
one?
What the hell is going on
Templars decided to
here?
keep the existence of the Isu
You must
secret
not
and chose
free
to
her.
create fake missing links
Free her?
as a way to try and keep evolution as the answer to mankind.
Juno
Back
dwells
with the Isu.
within these walls,
In order to
awaiting
ensure the humans
release.
would always listen to them, they
I
created
will
the Pieces of
explain.
Eden. These ancient artifacts were
While
allowed
we
the Isu
worked to
control
save the
the
world,
Soviet
she sought instead to conquer it. She used our machines to set her plans in motion. Divination through numbers. There is a pattern to existence. To comprehend the calculations is to tame time. This was my focus. And so I built the eye to aid us. But she turned it towards her own ends. When we discovered her treachery, we put a stop to it. And then we left. But first we called to you, that you might try again. We thought it would be safe if we're gone. Now I see we were deceived.
What this is an
She
excuse as
survived.
to how we
She
have Greek
endured.
gods for
And then
Cassandra,
she
we
began to
have Norse
work.
gods for Abel.
For
They are
centuries,
both
Tinia and I
Isu.
walked the
But their
world,
technology
hoping
is
to
so advanced
rekindle
that
the
our
spark of
protagonists,
civilization.
even as gods,
We shared what we knew as best we
This
could.
take of the
We
Isu
were not
mythology
the
is
only
a newer
ones,
take
but for
that
all
would
the
allow the
power we
creators to
wrought,
match up
still
Egyptian
death
gods,
would claim
Greek
us.
gods, and
But
Norse
before it
gods.
did,
In
I would have
classic
one
Assassin's
last
Creed
look
titles,
to
the
north
Isu were
and
known as
succeeded.
the precursors. At
That's
this
how you're
time,
here
they were
now?
shown to be
I had
larger
hoped you
humanoid
might
figures,
find this place
typically wearing
and
robes of
finish
some
our
kind.
work.
They all had some
But
kind
it
of
is too
headgear
late.
on, and their
You
technology
and the
was
Templars
just
have
super
squabbled
advanced
over our
technology.
refuse.
We would
You
really
have
only
wasted
see them in hidden
centuries,
videos or at the
and
end
so
of the
you
game
have
when they were
lost
speaking with
your
Desmond
chance.
through
We
whichever
cannot hope to
characters were
stop
in.
the end
As
now,
the games
Desmond.
evolved into the action
Only to
RPG
survive.
She's
genre,
lying.
each pantheon has its
Only
own
touch the
magic
pedestal
piece.
and the world
But
will be
more
saved.
the
Better
overall
the
plot
world
are
burn
recurring.
than she
New
be
names
boast
with
about.
each
Is
pantheon.
that
For
so?
example, Jupiter is the name
Show
of an
him
Isu
then.
scientist. Also his name
But he will
means
not
purpose.
understand.
In Greek mythology, he is known as Zeus, the father of
It is
gods.
complicated.
We get the Norse
It is-
mythology, he is
Show
known
me.
as Suttungr, one of the Jotun. Juno is another big character in the Isu lore. Juno is her Roman goddess. Uni is her Etruscan era name. In Norse
The
mythology,
ground
she is the
crack
Jotun
and
fire.
spit fire
Minerva
into
is
the
our last
sky.
super
All the
Mera
world
and Minerva at the same
burned.
time, basically before
But this does not end the
mythology.
world.
Athena is a
Merely
Greek. She goes by a
heralds
separate
survival.
name and they can't be
Darkness
In Norse
follows.
mythology, she is Or or Gulu. When all of this comes
Then you
together, it gives an
emerge,
amazing narrative
resolving
of
to
the
lay a
events.
foundation that such a tragedy does not befall the world again.
And this
You
group is
will become a
responsible for
symbol
many
to
of the
those who
issues and
survive.
problems that we dealt with
Hope,
today. I do apologize for any mispronunciations, and I'm sure I butchered something in there.
you
I
will
looked them all
inspire
up.
you to
None of
rebuild,
those reasons.
to
Now I'd like to go over the
once
general
more.
history of the Isu to
And
help
as
you
the world
understand
heals,
the entire picture
so
of
too
all
will
of this.
humanity.
We don't know how they started,
But you are
the
just a
nervous
man,
you stated that they
frail
can't be
and
born
mortal.
men. They've been
You
created
passed from
humanity
the
as
world,
a
leaving
workforce
behind
for
only a
them.
memory.
They've then created the pieces of Eden and the
legacy.
neurotransmitters to control their
You will be
workforce.
remembered
The
first
issue
as
started
a
with that.
hero, later as a legend, and in time as a god. It is the cruelest fate to have written words that meant well, and see them made wicked and unwise. What was meant to encourage you, used instead to justify taking it. And so now you see that what was shall be gained. So tell me, how is this better?
So they didn't have enough time to properly prepare for it. It was decided that in order to try and figure out an answer, the Capital Line Triad would lock themselves away.
She would sacrifice you, sacrifice the world, for no other reason than to deny me vindication.
They will enslave your kind, Desmond. Is this not why you fight? Is this not why you came here? To ensure more than just your race's future, but its freedom?
What future? What freedom? Billions dead and the whole cycle begun anew? This world has known nothing but heartache and horror since we left it.
Our gift to them, and you'd see it all return.
Enough!
You must not do this.
Whatever Juno's planning, however terrible it might seem today, we'll find a way to stop it. But the alternative, what you want, there's no hope there.
If you free her, you'll be destroyed.
It will happen in an instant. There will be no pain.
You mustn't.
It's done enough. The decision's made.
And the consequences of this mistake are yours to live and to die with.
You need to go. All of you. Now. Get as far away from here as you can. Come with us. We'll find another way. There isn't time. Son. You know it's true. It's already started. I need to do this now. So go. Go!
They could then be placed into this digital arena where they can live forever, or they can be then downloaded into things such as the Shroud or the Staff. But going back to our situation, River decided to use an ESA device known as the Pod to enter into the future. This device will allow you to see every possibility of where the future can go. She decided to plan out that next also allowed her to understand where to place the messages for the future savior of the world to see.
I have been creating concept art and digital illustrations for over 10 years, and yet I am not skilled at 3D modeling. But ever since I started using Paint 3D, I can now instantly convert a lot of 2D concept sketches into very detailed 3D models in just a few clicks, which I can then paint over in Photoshop and create awesome illustrations for RPG and trading card games. Without knowing any 3D modeling software, I don't have to worry about perspective, complex technical drawings, basic
Residual seismic and volcanic activity is being reported, but nothing approaching earlier levels. Obviously, it'll be a while before experts are able to assess the full extent of the damage caused by today's event. but it appears the worst is behind us. We'll be sure to bring you more as this story develops.
It is done. The world is saved. You played your part well, Desmond. But now it's time that I played mine.
America has no need for your services, back to Britain in a box. Death to the oppressor! Cut them down!
Yo soy Luis Felipe López, exjugador de la NBA. Aparte, yo soy uno de los ejecutivos. Yo vengo de Santiago, del Ensanche Libertad, un humilde barrio donde me vio nacer, me vio soñar. ¿Cómo están?
To business.
Anything. We'll take anything you can offer us.
The New York Morning Post. If you're hungry, have extra.
No, thank you. Where is everyone?
Gone west. Been a while since they left. Seems some fella from New York was granted the land by Congress.
What?
Seeing it happen more and more. Government says they don't take land that's already owned, but...
How could this have happened?
We're on our own now. No more merry English parts and labour, which means we gotta go at it ourselves. Got a land is quick and easy, so nasty as taxes. And since some say they're what started the old war, ain't no rush to bring 'em back. Clever men, these new leaders of ours. They know not to push it just yet. Too soon for taxes. Too British.
Thank you.
Be safe.
You know, if I take this verb, you know, if I take this verb, you know.
Hola, ¿cómo están? Yo soy Luis Felipe López, ex jugador de la NBA. Hola, ¿cómo están? Yo soy Luis Felipe López.
For the show, I'm your host.
Statement we've ever heard at the time of this video, and we know nothing more. 3 other Isu survived as their minds were uploaded into digital constructs, and then they were downloaded into the Shroud of Eden and the Staff of Hermes, Contis and Alephenia respectively. Those 2 individuals and their stories are massive in their own right, so we'll be touching on them in a future video. Juno, of course, was also in her digital prison at this time. Now, while this was going on, Odin and the Aesir had a different plan from Minerva. Their idea was to upload their consciousness into the human genome itself. This actually brought them into conflict with the Triad, which was Minerva, Juno, and Jupiter. Remember what I said earlier, that human civilization only saw the Isu as gods and therefore created pantheons and saw them differently than how they were. Minerva, Juno, and Jupiter in that storyline were viewed as the Jotun when Eivor went into the dream state to see Valhalla. When we saw the story of Odin's attempts to avoid death, we saw him interacting with Galund, which was Minerva, Hyreken, which was Juno, and Suttungr, which was Jupiter. Basically, the storyline of Odin and the Aesir tells of a battle between the clans of Isu in their attempts to prevent their own deaths. The way Odin sees into the future is the eye that Minerva created. The technology they use to implant their genome into the future humans is one of the projects that the Triad considered a failure. It's actually considered the 7th attempt at finding a way to circumvent their own deaths. But as Eivor couldn't comprehend what was truly going on, she saw all of this as the gods of Norse mythology and the tales of Norse mythology. I'll be going over the overall story of Odin and the Aesir in a separate video, as this video's purpose was just to give you the overall history of the Isu and how they got us to where we are today. This now brings us all the way to the modern era. Isu tales within the Egyptian pantheon and Atlantis pantheons are separate side stories and not related to the overall history. But we do discover a lot about the Isu culture and ways of life through those storylines. The pieces of Eden that were used to control the human population, while not being used by the Isu, still existed. The Templars discovered the technology to travel back in time within someone's memories, and using that are attempting to find the individuals in the past who had come into contact with pieces of Eden. The purpose was to find those pieces where they were buried and allow the Templars to steer the world in a better direction by mind controlling everyone who is a descendant of the human civilization. They used situations like Desmond's memories to travel into the moments of Ezio's life, and that's what kicked off everything as we discovered a map leading to the locations of the pieces of Eden. Both the Templars and the Assassins then began a mad dash to acquire these pieces of Eden, and in that dash, the Assassin team that Desmond was on discovered that the world was going to end in 2012 again. The memories that Minerva stored and the devices were across the globe, and they all contained the answers to prevent this. What they discovered is that they had actually been misled, that it was Juno that they were communicating with, and that she had led them to turn on the towers, which were now completed. Turning on these towers would in fact release her from her digital prison, but it would also save the globe. Desmond decided to save the planet and free Juno. He would sacrifice himself in this act, but
Back again? What do you got for me? That won't do it, boy! Get some more and then we'll barter.
And technically, the Isu's continued attempt at revival. I'll keep it deeper into this in a Juno-centric video. Basically, while in prison, Juno had enacted her own plan to survive the catastrophe. She had a way to allow her husband, Aida, to reincarnate in human form over and over until he could save her and they could be together. Every time that he would reincarnate, he was known as a sage in that time period. All of the reincarnating Isus were going by the name of Sage. But because this was within the human code, multiple sages were allowed to exist at the same time, because he was just reincarnating over and over with the memories of his previous lives. Going by the name of John Standish in the modern age, he attempted to put Juno into the body of the player character at that time. This player character wasn't anyone in particular, as it was intended to be you, and they used a nondescript name known as Noob. The plan failed, and the Abstergo organization got a hold of his body. Juno was then also left in the digital systems that she was still inhabiting. Now, any Isu that seems to reincarnate is also being known as a sage, which does mean that even though the method was different, Odin, Tyr, and Loki's reincarnation in the Valhalla storyline technically makes them a sage, but they are different. It would appear that their technology does not allow them to continually reincarnate, while the one that Aida was using allowed him to continually reincarnate. Now, this started the Phoenix Project, which was Abstergo attempting to fully sequence the Isu genome using Standish